It seems that it's no longer safe to get anything to eat anymore. Not because of COVID, because of protesters. The Kyle Rittenhouse saga continues, and the Democratic politicians find out that Antifa is a real thing. All that and more. I'm your host, TJ Evans, and this is the TJ Evans Show. Since the death of George Floyd, protesters in Oregon have been running amok, and they're only getting worse. More people have died at the hands of protesters than unarmed black people last year at the hands of police officers. It's getting pretty bad out there, people, and it doesn't seem like it's going to get any better anytime soon. A man was shot and killed in Oregon. He was believed to be a Trump supporter, and that's a no-go in America, apparently. The city of Portland needs to get that situation under control really fast. But it's sad because the mayor doesn't want to take action. He insists on blaming Donald Trump for the things that are happening in his city.
It's you who have created the hate and the division. You've tried to divide us more than any other figure in modern history. And now you want me to stop the violence that you helped create.
I don't know if he knows this, but in America, local government handles local government problems. We're ran under a federalist type government system. You know, state government handles state problems. They just don't run to the federal government for everything. And when Donald Trump offers to help, he turns it down. And he thinks that's going to give him cool points with the mob. It's a mob. The mob always turns on its own. And he learned that when he was having a little party at his apartment in Portland. This is how they treat their own.
Family's house was shot up and they didn't have cops there for 17 hours because he's so busy arresting people like me, peaceful protesters.
This mob was not setting off fireworks just to say, hey, good job, Mr. Mayor. We like what you're doing for our city. No, they're not. They were trying to break into his building. You know, these people have actually put concrete around police departments and tried to set them on fire while they sealed officers inside. They're not just destroying property, but they're trying to take lives. As you have seen in the past few weeks, I believe it's over 19, 20 people killed in the mob, by the mob. So that's nice. Good job, governments. And it's funny because Joe Biden, he'll sit here and insist that this is happening in Trump's America. This is Trump's America. His administration is doing it. But the places where it's happening is non-red states. These are blue states and cities where this is happening at. Oregon hasn't voted Republican in the last 40 years. California is a completely blue state. New York, blue state. These people will attack you while you're sitting down trying to eat lunch or dinner.
We're shutting the party down. Nobody's gonna touch you. We're shutting your party down. Calm down. Calm down.
that lady said? Why are you running? Don't run. Like, no, they're going to run because y'all are a mob and y'all are flipping over tables and throwing things. Y'all can properly hurt them pretty easily. And I wouldn't roll the dice with that either. That was probably the best thing they could have did was take off running. There's no reason to try to sit around and see what these people could do. They don't have a list of demands. They just want to destroy things. These mobs have been seen on camera asking people if they're Christians, trying to get the answer that they want to hear. Because, you know, Christianity is a bad thing. It goes against everything that the left stands for. These people burned Bibles. And yet, they have the nerve to call people on the right Nazis. I believe Nazis burned Bibles. The people on the right are not burning Bibles. So there's a difference. Just throwing it out there. Next up is this Kyle Rittenhouse story. Now, if you haven't noticed, I only put out one video a week because I don't really care about trying to break the news. I want to get the full story before I speak about it. And I really don't care too much of going into anyone's personal background or situation. The only reason why I did that with Jacob Blake last week was because the police were actually called on him about his open warrants. But this Kyle Rittenhouse story is kind of funny because I see people bringing up a video where he's actually hitting a woman. That's neither here nor there because it has nothing to do with that particular incident. But that's how people are nowadays. I even seen on the internet where people tried to bring up Cannon Hennett. I don't know if you remember him. Cannon Hennett was a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, I believe, and he was shot in the head by his neighbor. And then people pulled up information that Cannon Hennett's father was a drug dealer. That's neither here nor there because Cannon had nothing to do with it. In that particular situation, he was executed by his neighbor, and that's all that matters. So in this Kyle Rittenhouse situation, the only thing that matters is the actual event that took place. Now, if y'all haven't seen the video, I will show it to you here. Now, as you can see, Kyle Rittenhouse was on the ground and he was being attacked by a couple of assailants. He shot 3 of them, killing them. And 2 of them happened to be sexual predators, convicted sexual predators. And 1 of them just happened to be a felon that was recently released. It doesn't matter what their past crimes was. It's just kind of crazy that everyone who gets murdered by someone by the police or someone on the right, they just always have a police record, and people try to make them martyrs. And y'all need to make better people y'all martyrs. I mean, seriously, the Jacob Blake situation shows because Jacob Blake, his GoFundMe account has raised over $2 million, and Kyle Rittenhouse's GoFundMe was taken down. So, go figure. But also in this situation, after Kyle Rittenhouse shot these individuals, he walked towards the police, going to turn himself in. And a lot of people said, how many black people do you know could have done this, could have turned themselves in without getting shot? And a lot of people showed a lot of different white individuals who were armed and killed people that made it into police custody, and a lot of black people who were unarmed were shot. Some of these individuals are actually armed, and a lot of times people resist arrest. I mean, think about it. Brian Nichols, he shot up a whole courtroom, killing the judge and the officers, and he was brought into police custody because he didn't resist arrest, and he was surrounded by people. He was surrounded by the police. the DC snipers, they were able to turn themselves in, and they were on a killing spree. So it's just whether or not you resist arrest or not. That's pretty much what that boils down to. On the firearm in question, a lot of people are upset because Kyle Rittenhouse had a firearm. But he had a firearm just in case he had to defend himself. He wasn't going out hunting people. He actually had great trigger control. When you see him in different videos, he has great trigger discipline. So, you know, it's not like he was just walking around waving a gun with his finger on the trigger trying to kill people. He was there trying to help protesters, and he actually did help protesters, not just on his side, the people who were protecting businesses, but actual protesters on the left. But why was he attacked? He was attacked because he put out a fire, and a video was released of him putting out the fire right before he was attacked by these individuals. Go figure. He was attacked and actually used his weapon. If you didn't know, one of the individuals had a firearm, and Kyle Rittenhouse used his Second Amendment right to defend himself. That's what it's there for. Sorry, leftist Democratic politicians. It's not just for hunting. It's for self-defense. But it's sad because a lot of people jumped on this story labeling Kyle Rittenhouse a white supremacist, especially the people in the news media. And it's like they have not learned from Nick Sandmann having to pay out all that money for slander and libel. So it's probably going to happen with this young man too, because he was in the right. He defended himself like he was supposed to. He wasn't going there looking for trouble. He was going there to protect small businesses that are being destroyed in these riots. If you cannot see that, I don't know what are you watching on TV. I'm sorry, I kept getting his name wrong. His name is Kyle Rittenhouse. That is the shooter who was defending himself from the protesters. Kyle Rittenhouse. My apologies. Black Lives Matter is a political movement ran by Marxists who don't care about anything but overthrowing the government and Western civilization as we know it.
I'm at the point where I'm ready to put these police in the grave. I'm at the point where I want to burn the White House down. I want to take it to the senators. I want to take it to the Congress. I want to take the fight to them. And at the end of the day, if they ain't gonna hear us, we burn them the down. I'm one that talk real I talk it in New York, and I talk it in D.C. The same way I police up in New York, I cops up here in D.C. The same way I bust police in the head in New York, I bust police in the head in D.C.
But what else is the news media putting out there? This Deon K situation in Washington, D.C. Now, Deon K was shot by the police, and before the body cam footage came out, the news media jumped on it, saying that it was a white officer killing a black man because color matters in these situations. But the police department was pretty eager to release the footage, and they did. And this is what happened.
How fast it took the officer to get out of his car and shoot the suspect. That was about 10 seconds. It happened fast, so we're going to slow it down for you to show you what the officer was seeing. Take a look again. As the officer is getting out of the car, you can see the black crossover SUV that they initially saw in that social media video. You can see 18-year-old Deon K in a white shirt and blue jeans. At this point, you can see K with a handgun in his right hand. Right before he's shot, you can see that gun leave his hand in what appears to be Kay throwing the gun. A little over a minute after Kay is shot.
Hey, I got it.
So Deon K was running in this situation when the officers are telling him to stop moving. What he should have done was stop running and put his hands up, but he didn't. He decided to take his gun off his waistband, and what it looked like was he was trying to throw it, but the officer made a decision and discharged his weapon one time. One single shot, and Deon fell to the ground. He didn't shoot him 8 times, 15 times. The other officer didn't shoot him. It was one time. Why are people upset about this situation? Now, I know people were showing old videos of him on social media with a handgun, but I don't care about that because that's what happened in the past. But where are the people who were upset about Kyle Rittenhouse for being 17 with a long rifle? I know for a fact when you're 18, you're not supposed to have a handgun. It doesn't matter who you are. So where are those same people? That's why I'm saying you have to be equally angry about the whole situation. Stop just putting the color on the situation. Do you see how easy it is to become a hypocrite? You don't want to be like Nancy Pelosi. Look at her. She was complaining about people not wearing masks, saying that they don't believe in science and they need to listen to science and science. And then she was saying that we can't go back to work. We have to follow the law. We have to stay locked down, stay in place, shelter in place, 6 feet apart. She was upset about people trying to open up their businesses. And then she goes to a beauty salon to go get her hair done without a mask on.
That's what really got to me. But,
Yes.
you know, this isn't even political. I mean, she's been coming in there. It's the fact that she actually came in and didn't have a mask on. And I just thought about, you know, my staff and people not being able to work and make money and provide for their families. And if she's in there comfortably without a mask and feeling safe, then why are we shut down? Why am I not able to have clients come in?
So please, people, calm down. Stop trying to jump on every news story as soon as it breaks. Do a little bit more research into it first. Don't fall for the clickbait on social media because I've seen a lot of it. A lot. So before you jump to the racist claim, like a lot of people in the news media want you to do, remember, you can't trust the media. Even CNN's anchor, Chris Cuomo, knows that, and he's one of their primetime anchors.
Phone calls I've gotten from people at ABC who say that reporters are calling and lying about things they heard about me to try to get stories about me when I was at ABC. Guys calling and saying, I heard he was the Charlie Rose of ABC, used to invite women to the hotel and open his bathroom. Do I look like the kind of guy who's got to do that?
Sure, why not? But you're
lying, saying,
so
I already
now-
have a good source that says that he forced one woman to have sex. I just want to know if you've ever heard anything like that. There is no woman.
Right.
There is none of that.
So here's the problem.
Women who do work there saying, oh yeah, you know, some of these men, and naming me with other guys, you know, we bumped into each other once in the elevator and he put his hand on my shoulder and he made me really uncomfortable. I mean, what the
It's a problem, and now you.
So I'm careful with the media always.
Right.
I've always told you, the media is not your friend.
No.
And the whole time while we're worried about this, California has lost their minds. You're worried about race, and they're trying to make it easier for sexual offenders to not register as sexual offenders. They passed a new law called SB 145. Go look it up. I was flagged for it on social media because the post that I put up, it said that if the child was less than 10 years older than the assailant, that the assailant doesn't have to actually register as a sexual offender. They said it was false information. But then it pretty much said the same thing on the actual bill. So, good job, Facebook. Good job. The real problem is racism is not that there are a whole lot of sexual predators out there. It's not like people aren't finding kids everywhere across the country in trailers and stuff like that. Whatever. Protect your kids. Do your research. And don't fall for the racist antics that they're trying to perpetuate in the news each and every day. This country isn't as racist, or this country really isn't as racist as they try to say it is. I mean, seriously, there was once a time where black people were in chains, and now we've had a black president and a female black person trying to be vice president. We have black billionaires and millionaires all across this country. How racist is it? If they were just out here killing black people all the time, best believe that we would see more than 1 or 2 stories a week. It will be a daily thing. There are black people everywhere around this country. That's all I have for you. Remember, do your research, and y'all stay safe out there. I'm your host, TJ Evans. You made it to the end of the video, so you might as well hit the subscribe button. It's free. Also hit like and tell your friends about us over here at Royal Family Studios. Remember what I said at the end of the show. Do your research. Don't trust the news media.